The standard character selector is back, and in this quick guide we're breaking down who is the best standard character to choose for your account. Characters can now be raised to level 100 using the Masterless Stella Fortuna you get from pulling a character you already have at C6, and that's going to play a big role in how we make our choices. And so we'll go over each character, what they do, their best constellations, and whether they're worth more than getting some of your characters to level 100. Hello, welcome to Genshin Filter, your quick guide for everything Genshin. So let's get started! The Lauma and Haida banners are finally here, and if you're low on wishes, I know topping up in game can get really expensive. Here is how you can save money with today's sponsor, Loot Bar. Loot Bar is a safe, secure and reliable way to top up Genesis crystals, and thanks to the new regen resetting the double top-up rewards, you can get incredible new deals in the site. Plus, new users get a 10% off coupon. Loot Bar has worked with many well-known creators and has great reviews, so it's very safe and trustworthy. The process is super simple. Choose the deal you want, enter your UID and server, and you are done. It's 100% safe and delivered just under 30 minutes. And yes, PlayStation and Xbox players can use it too. Loot Bar also supports other games like Honkai Star Rail and Withering Waves. So hit the link in the description or pin comment to try it yourself and start saving. And thank you Loot Bar for sponsoring this video. Mizuki is an Anemo Catalyst driver for swirl damage teams, who really excels in AoE content, and she can also heal, which makes her work nicely with characters like Furina. Her big downside is that swirl focus teams are more geared toward AoE content, which is not the direction the game is going, so you won't find many scenarios where you can use her efficiently outside the open world. Another point is her controversial playstyle, where she just hovers around without needing to do any normal or charge attack to deal damage. I think it's really cool, but I understand why some people find it very boring. Thanks to her being released recently, her constellations do not feel outdated like the rest of the characters in this video, and they are actually pretty good, with C2 giving elemental damage buff to all elements on the team similar to Kazuha, her C4 adding more healing and energy that lets her work better with Furina, and C6 letting her swirl damage crit, which is really cool. When it comes to her team, she can work well with almost any reaction setup, as long as you don't pair her with characters who need normal or charge attacks to work, and she works especially well with Furina thanks to her healing, and even more so at C4. Unfortunately, in today's Genshin, her kit does not really work well in most content, but if you enjoy her playstyle, Mizuki can be a fun addition to your roster, and getting her constellation does double duty, since it also gets you closer to get the Masterless Stella Fortuna. Mona is a Hydro Catalyst buffer that has off-field application and also does good damage. On paper, that sounds like a perfect character, as she can buff the team with her burst, use TTDS and the Cinder City set, as well as enable strong reactions like Vaporize. Her big downsides are a slow application and short uptime for just 5 seconds, while most main DPS characters want a much longer window to deal their damage. That's why she is mostly used in speedruns and big nuke screenshots. Some of her constellations are good and can buff her teams even more, like her C1 which buff the team's reactions, and the C4 which give 50% crit rate to the team. Fortunately, she does work great with Skirk, who is one of the best main DPS characters in the game. Otherwise, you can use her with Arlecchino and Moalani. But because of her short uptime, there are better options. So if you have Skirk and are still missing some of her meta supports, or if you're really into speedruns and big nuke screenshots, then Mona and some of her constellations can be a great choice for your account. Especially since getting her to C6 also gets you closer to the Masterless Stella Fortuna. Jin is an Anemo Sword team-wide healer who also provides the VV Shred. Her main role these days is with Furina to generate fanfares, which she does very well. Her big downsides are that she needs a lot of energy, and the shred her VV set provides does not justify using her. There are other characters now who can deliver even more buffing and utility. Some of her constellations are pretty good though. Her C2 gives attack speed, which can be great for characters like Ayato and Wanderer, and her C4 gives 40% Anemo resistance shred, which makes her an even better option for Wanderer, and also works nicely with Bennett to create the Sunfire team. But these main DPS characters are not as strong these days to justify investing in her, or her constellations just to buff them a bit, unless you are really into them. She can also be a great healer on Uvillette teams with Furina, but there are much better options. I would say you should only get her if you are missing a good team-wide healer for your Furina, but other than that only if she's at C6 or close to it, so you can get the Masterless Stella Fortuna. Dehya is a a Pyro Claymore. It can be played both as a main DPS or as a support that provide off-field application and reduce incoming damage, which can work well in teams like Burgeon or ones that need off-field pyro application. A big downside is that as a main DPS, she doesn't have the numbers to compete with the other pyro main DPS characters who use the same teams, so I would already say that I can't recommend her for this playstyle. Her constellations are also not good, as they only improve her low on-field damage by a bit, so they are not really worth it. When it comes to her best teams, playing her as a Burgeon trigger will be your best bet, and using her with Qiqi as a pyro applicator is also a decent option, even though there are better options. Overall, I would only recommend her if you want to invest in Burgeon teams, or of course if she is at C6 or close to it, so you can get the Masterless Stella Fortuna. Tighnari is a Dendro main DPS, who excels in a quick swap playstyle with his fast charge attacks, that give him very good front-loaded damage in spread or hyperbloom teams. His big downside is that he needs good Electro and Dendro teammates, with long field time and short cooldown to support his playstyle, and the ones we have at the moment are fine in the open world, but when it comes to endgame content like Spiral Abyss or Stygian Onslaught, he can struggle a lot or simply not have the numbers to complete them. All of his constellations outside of C5 are okay damage boosts, but his C6 is one of the better ones out of all the standard characters' constellations, making him dish out damage faster and add more arrows. As we said, he performs best with Electro and Dendro characters, who support his playstyle in spread and hyperbloom teams. So if you like his quick swap playstyle and have good teammates for him, getting more constellations can be a good choice for you, especially since getting him to C6 also gets you closer to the Masterless Stella Fortuna. I myself will probably choose Tighnari this year, as he is the closest character I have to C6, and getting the Masterless Stella Fortuna, as well as I do enjoy his playstyle very much. Keqing is an Electro Sword main DPS, whose like Tighnari deals nice front-loaded damage, with a quick swap playstyle that excels mostly in aggravate teams. A big downside is that the numbers are just underwhelming compared to other Electro main DPS characters in aggravate teams, where at least Tighnari doesn't have much competition in his niche. She can still do good damage in the open world and has cool mobility, but any other Electro main DPS will probably be a better investment. That's also because unlike Tighnari, her constellations are just not good. Each one gives a little extra damage, but even at C6 she adds less than 10% to the team's damage. Her best performing teams will be Aggravate, which not considered that strong these days, or Quick Bloom, which can be good but will give underwhelming damage compared to a competition. So I wouldn't recommend her unless you have her already at C6 or close to it, so you can get the Masterless Stella Fortuna. Diluc is a Pyro Claymore main DPS who can actually give you good numbers in plunge teams, doing some very impressive melts. The downsides are that playing him outside of plunge is very weak, so you really need Shanyan to make him work. Plunge on its own is also a very clunky playstyle that isn't easy to pull off perfectly, and if you want to do any significant damage, you really need Citlali as well. Otherwise, the numbers won't be as groundbreaking compared to the other strong Pyro main DPS characters in the game. His constellations also don't really fix this. Most of them are just small bonuses and they don't benefit his plunge playstyle, so I wouldn't recommend him unless you already have him at C6 or close to it, so you can get the Masterless Stella Fortuna. Qiqi is a cross sword healer and the worst nightmare to any Genshin player. She does have strong healing, but the issue is that healing is really the only thing she provides, in addition to her not generating any energy. For you to give a slot on your team to a healer these days, they need to provide much more than just healing, and we can see that with most other healers. Her constellations also don't really provide her with any value, and other than maybe using her in some cope physical team with Cloren and Furina, or as a bad Skirk support, there aren't really any specific teams she excels in. So I can't recommend you pull her other than if she's already at C6 or close to it, so you can get the Masterless Stella Fortuna. So here is the deal, if your goal is to improve your account power, the best choice would be to go for the character that is already C6 or the closest to it, so you can get the Masterless Stella Fortuna. For most characters, getting them to level 100 won't make a big difference, but if you're invested in any team that focus on reaction damage, like Bloom, Hyper Bloom, Melt or Vaporize, which have some of the strongest teams in the game, then getting the reaction driver to level 100 can result in a big increase for your most powerful teams, thanks to how these reactions scale with the character level. And let's face it, getting one of the standard characters won't really improve those strong teams much. At best, it gives you another option for some of these teams, or a decent main DPS. And that's why choosing C6 Qiqi over C4 Mona, even if you have Skirk, can still result in a much higher value for your account. Do let me know which character you are going for. As I said, I'm finally getting my Tighnari to C6, and I wish you all a happy Genshin anniversary. And that's a wrap. If this video helped you in any way, consider giving it a like or subscribe for more filter guides. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!